I take this philosophical statement from Stephen Ambrose. It's not a museum. It's not a place of artifacts. It's a place of ideas, end quote. Now, how rich are ideas behind Nigerian artifacts? Indeed, they are wealthy and enriching not just Nigerian museums, but also European museums. But is Nigeria really reaping from its artworks and heritage? In the next half hour, someone with vast knowledge of anthropology and museology will be talking to us on exploring Nigeria's artifacts, museums, monuments, and heritage sites. I am Joseph Otsen. Welcome to On the Spot. Now, my guest hails from Borno State and holds a bachelor's degree in creative arts from University of Maiduguri. He obtained a master's degree in museum studies from the University College London. He will go ahead to attain the rank of Professor of Museology and Anthropology from the University of Maiduguri. My guest is a lover of his profession, serving as head of Department of Fine Arts, University of Maiduguri, 2012 to 2016. My guest is a consultant who is also involved in setting up museums, exhibitions, and documentation. On the spot is the Director General, National Commission for Museums and Monuments, Professor Abba Issa Tijjani. Nice to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, sir, when you talk of artifacts, these days the first thing that comes to mind is repatriation of Nigerian artifacts from European countries. What is actually happening now? What stage are we now?
Well, thank you very much. In fact, the issue of repatriation in respect to Nigerian artifacts is already in advanced stage, because we have achieved a lot over this short period of time. We are able to sign a transfer agreement of all the Benin bronzes that are in public museums in Germany, up to 1,130. And also, we have been able to reach agreement with some museums in the United Kingdom for the repatriation of Benin bronzes that were taken during the 1897 punitive expedition. Likewise, in the United States, we have the Smithsonian Museum of African Art in Washington, D.C. Then we have the National Gallery of Art also in Washington, D.C. And then we have the Rhodes Island also in the United States. All these three are coming together on the 11th of October for us to sign the transfer agreement of all the Benin bronzes in their holding to Nigeria. And we are also making headway with so many other museums across Europe and in the US for the repatriation of the Benin bronzes. So we are well in advance in this area at the moment.
Okay, the ones that are back in the country now, where are we? Where do we have them?
Well, at the moment we have a few objects that are returned, and as you may know, the objects from Aberdeen and Cambridge that were returned to Nigeria are in the possession of the Abba of Benin, which the President has directed for us to take it to the Abba. And the others that are coming, we are making plans to see that we partner, with the traditional institution, with the Palace of the Abba, and also with museums in Benin City, so that we will be able to store some of these objects, because we cannot exhibit everything, and then be able to exhibit those that we can exhibit at the National Museum, Benin City. And also we have plans to build new storage facilities, which the federal government is supporting, so that all these artifacts that are coming, we will be able to store them in a befitting, facility that is of international standard, while we make arrangements for them to also to be exhibited in various museums that the Nigerian populace will be able to visit and see. But also, we have plans to do travel exhibitions around the world so that these objects that have become so popular can also travel around the world for people to see that have not been able to see these objects in museums across the world. That will also generate revenue for Nigeria. So we are doing all this in collaboration with our partners also across the world.
Okay, talk about generating revenue. In my introduction, I spoke about how much is Nigeria reaping from its artwork or artifacts. Your career have revolved around this. How viable is this industry? It seems we don't know much about the viability of this industry.
Well, I think the aspect of tourism, which also museums are areas where, attract tourism, is a potential for generating revenue for the country. And that is why we are making efforts to see that the Benin bronzes that are being returned are also exhibited, not only for Nigerians, but also for people from outside the country to come and see the richness of our culture. Because exhibition is of different kinds. Most of these objects have been exhibited in museums across the world where they have been holding these objects. But when you now bring these objects to the countries of origin, where these objects are being produced, then the nature and the way in which these objects are being exhibited will completely be different from the perspective in which the European museums and museums in the US have been exhibiting. We have the knowledge of the local community. We have the ancestors of these objects that are around. We will be able to get rich information and input from them, that our exhibition will become interactive and will become attractive, and therefore tourists will be able to visit our exhibitions, and that will also generate revenue for us. But I also want to say that exhibition is not only the way to generate revenue. We have so many plans because we have areas of research. Funding is coming into the country because we are going to collaborate with research funding institutions that will attract money to the country, and our scholars will be able to now research on the objects while they're here. And that's another way of attracting funding to the country. But also, as I said, we have areas of capacity building. We are partnering with these different museums so that they will be able to build the capacity of our staff, but also in return, we also visit their museums, and all this is part of actually funding our staff to get more knowledge and experience in collaborating with them. Then we also have areas where we can now use digital information data to generate revenue. We can put our digital images of these objects on virtual platforms that you can subscribe to generate revenue. We can also use this to print souvenirs and so many other things. So there are many ways of generating revenue, not necessarily just by exhibiting the objects.
Okay, I'm meant to understand that you talk about collaboration. You had some memorandum of understanding signed regarding exploring the Nigerian artifacts and museums and so on. Just give us insights on some of this memorandum of understanding.
Well, you see, the repatriation is, we are talking the ordinary Nigerians will assume that we are signing agreement for the return of these artifacts. But we've been saying that as professionals on our side, we are saying that these artifacts have been away from Nigeria for decades.
Yes.
And these countries have been reaping the benefit of these objects that are in their possession. And therefore, when we come to do the draft for the signing of the agreement for the repatriation, we make sure that we get some things in return. Not only the objects, but also we want support in infrastructural development. We also include capacity building so that we make sure that as museum professionals that have advanced, they have modern equipment, modern facilities, and modern ways of conservation, curation, exhibition, documentation. And all these are not much available in our museums in Nigeria. And we now take advantage of this opportunity to see that we tap on these, experiences that they have, so that we will be able to benefit, and our staff in the museums can be able to understand and learn from modern ways of doing these museum activities. And this we make sure is built into our memorandum of understanding. We also make sure that the rich digital database they have over the years as a result of so many ways of digitizing these objects, 3D scan, and so many other things. We also take advantage of this so that we have this database transferred to us as the owners of these artifacts. We now will be able to direct the museums that whenever they want to utilize this digital data, they must seek permission from us. And where there is revenue attached to it, then Nigeria will have an interest in that as well. It will have a share. So all these are also built into our memorandum of understanding, and that is how far we are going.
Okay. We still have more to talk about exploring the potentials of Nigerian artifacts and museums, monuments, and heritage. But we'll take a break now and come back shortly. Okay, we'll take a break. Don't go away. We'll be back soon.
This is NTA News 24 broadcasting from Abuja. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the following platforms. For more information, log on to our website www.nta.ng or join us on our social media handles: Twitter at NTA News 24, Facebook at NTA News 24.
For comments, suggestions and inquiries, send an email to news24@nta.gov.ng or call us on the following numbers.
NTA News 24,
news and more news.
Welcome back. This is On the Spot, and my guest is Professor Abba Tijjani, Director General, National Commission for Museums and Monuments. Now, Prof, I'm meant to understand that the Commission has about 100 museums and monuments and 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites under its management. Am I correct?
We have 53 national museums across the country, and we have 65 monuments and sites across the country. And then we have 2 World Heritage Sites.
Okay, that's beautiful. Now, the question now is, are these facilities well managed to attract tourists from other countries to come and take a site and maybe generate some revenue for the country?
Well, our museums and our monuments have been attractive over the years, and a lot of people have been visiting museums and going to our sites. But unfortunately, in recent time, because of lack of proper management of our national museums and lack of upgrading of our exhibitions, has made some of our museums not living up to the standard, where people will be able to visit and enjoy the environment. So when I came in, I quickly, looked at that area and started upgrading our national museums across the country. In the first year, we upgraded 8 national museums, and we changed the exhibitions, which have been there for over 20 years, in some cases even up to 30 years. So we changed the exhibitions, we upgraded them, we bring in new objects and new themes to, present to our audience. And that has actually received high, commendation from our visitors so far. And also this year, we have taken it upon ourselves to upgrade the exhibition and renovate some of our national museums. There are 9 in number, and about 70% of those 9 museums have been completed. And once that is done, then now we'll be able to comfortably say that our museums that we have upgraded are of international standards. So when you go in there, you will see the exhibition the way to be attractive in museums outside the country. And we're very happy and proud to say that all these exhibitions have been upgraded by our staff and the commission. And we are looking forward now to partnering with our, museums outside the country, so that the repatriation aspect is also built into this development of our museums, so that new exhibitions will come up and we'll be able to attract our audience there. And what we are looking at is not just the exhibition, the museum environment itself is very important. As families, because we want families to visit museums. So when you visit museum, you want to see that your children will also have side attractions. And that is what we are bringing into our museums, to make sure that we also have, play areas in the museums, and we also have the museum kitchen, and also we have recreational facilities, so that when children come, they not only just go to see the objects, but also they will have break and go and enjoy themselves with the facilities we have. So we are putting into place, all these facilities, and that is how we want to make our museums welcoming to families and visitors alike.
You talk about making the museum welcoming. You have them across the country. Now, one of the challenges that we have over the years is the issue of recruitment. You'll find out that a lot of people that may end up being staff of the commission or managing these museums may not necessarily be people who are interested in that field. And then at the end of the day, end up there. Talking about capacity of the staff. You have been there for a while now. Is that challenging for you regarding their capacity to be able to kind of, if possible, even sensitize people and try to get the attention of people to the museums?
Yes, that is a very important area when I came in, because the museum staff is a very important aspect of the museum. Not just the objects, but also staffing is very important. So it has become, one of the areas of challenges for us, because in the past, some of our objects were stolen, particularly in collaboration with, staff. And that is because many of our staff at that time were not just there in the museum because of their interests and so on, but just they happened to find themselves in the museums. So that is why today we are making sure that we retrain our staff, and that's why we have a lot of workshops across the country ongoing. And we also have in this partnership that we are doing with museums outside. We have sent a number of museum staff to countries in Europe and in the US for training as well. And we want to instill the ethics of the profession in our staff. And that is why we want another area of encouraging them is to see that, the staff of the NCMM benefit Conrise because museums are research institutions, are research places. If you look at the different departments we have at the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, we have, under research department, we have ethnographers, we have archaeologists, and these are people that go on field to do field research, collect data, as archaeologists go and do excavations, and so on. And then we have also the museum department. Under the museum department, we have the conservators who look after our objects and make sure that the objects are looked after properly and the necessary environment is provided, and when they are in very bad shape, they can be restored. And then we have also the exhibition officers, the documentation officers, and these are all that will become the curators. Then we have the educational department and training that they now interact with the schools, and also they do the guided tours in the museums and all this. So we have professionals in the field. Then we also have the support staff, of course, like any other agency. We have the accounts, we have the projects and works, admin and the rest. But the core professionals are there. They are the ones that are handling our museums, and we make sure that we instilled aspect of the profession, in the training, so that they will be the ones that will be looking after our museums, and they are happy and enjoying the profession, so that we don't employ people for the sake that we want to fill the space. So we make sure that there are people that are well trained.
Okay, we're running out of time, but briefly, your commission also supervise over establishment of private museums. What is the relationship like in terms of collaboration, in terms of relating with a private partnership?
Well, the commission is actually empowered to register and regulate private museums. Now, when we talk about private museums, we are talking about museums that are owned by individuals or certain organizations. And any organization or individual that wants to set up museum will have to approach us, and then we'll give them the guidelines. And once this museum is built, the structure is there, we'll have to go and inspect and see that it's befitting for a museum before we give the registration. And after registration, we'll be visiting and regulating so that the profession continues. But also there are state museums. There are also museums owned by other agencies of governments. All these are within our jurisdiction. We also have the monuments. We are the ones that will now look at any potential monument and assess it and recommend it to the president for approval. Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Abba Tijjani, Director General, National Commission for Museums and Monuments, for lending us your time to discuss on exploring Nigerian artifacts, museums, heritage sites and monuments on the spot.
Thank you very much. It's an honor having me here.
And to you viewers out there, thank you for being there. See you next time. I'm Joseph Oten. Bye-bye.